Hello and welcome to the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia for round 6, the penultimate round of the 2023 Spanish Formula 4 Championship. My name is Leo Gorman. Fantastic to be back with you this weekend and for the rest of the season. Of course, just Barcelona coming up next. But it is a rather nice, balmy day. Suffice to say, 26 degrees Celsius, warm, dry, not a huge amount of wind, and really probably looking at no massive surprises that are going to be coming in the conditions. So anything that we see today will be decided on track. We've just had the completion of the Eurocup 3 qualifying, and so the Spanish Formula 4 cars have just left the pit lane now, making the way out onto the circuit, lining up onto the grid. You can just see on the right-hand side of your screen, as the cars are lining up on the grid there, all of the brake lights flashing so brightly. And suffice to say, the championship has moved on slightly. The last time around, a couple of weeks ago in Estoril, Theophile Nael had extended his championship lead by 10 points. He now leads the championship by 61 points. With something in the region of 150 something left. I really should probably work that out. But he had took 2 wins, but then failed to finish race 3. His rear wing collapsed most of the way through the race, and he ended up with a non-finish. You see the map of the 4-kilometer Circuit Ricardo Tormo on screen now. But Enzo Deligny took 1 win after overtaking Christian Ho. Christian Ho took 3 podiums over the course of the weekend, so he is now 3rd in the standings ahead of Valerio Rinicella. And there we see the pole man, who is Christian Ho. And he set a time as a 1:32.771, 2 thousandths of a second quicker than the man who lines up second on the grid. And that person who lines up second in the grid, we'll see in a few moments' time from Online Motorsport, might be a little bit of a surprise. There's a safety car. We hope we don't see that too often today. But the driver lining up second on the grid is this one. Number 55, Valerio Rinicella, 1:32.804. And the standings have moved somewhat since qualifying earlier on today. And 3rd on the grid, this is Matteo De Peo. Good effort for him. Theophile Nael did set the 2nd fastest time And it looks as if he may have had a grid drop of some sort, because he's certainly not showing up here. This is Riccardo Grazia, by the way, a 1 minute 32.882. So I can only assume there has been several times deleted for track limits in between qualifying, finishing, and the grid being set. But that is still a brilliant qualifying for Grazia. Now here we have Theophile Nael, who's the driver who was originally second on the grid, who qualified with second best time, is starting fifth, so a 3-place penalty it would seem for him. Nael starting from 5th position. And here we are, might as well just read the starting grid on screen. Christian Ho in pole position ahead of Valerio Rinicella. Matthew De Peo in 3rd place ahead of Riccardo Grazia. Theophile Nael, while Enzo Deligny lines up 6th ahead of Andres Cardenas. Chiara Alezzari is 8th ahead of Alex Nilovic. Pedro Claro running at the top 10. Alexander Absakava will start 11th ahead of Lynn Hodines. Good qualifying sessions for both of them. Noah Lyle will get away from 13th on the grid ahead of Dani Maciá, who returns, and I'll speak more about him later on. Griffin Peebles 15th ahead of Reno Francort, our debutante driver, while Jesse Carrasquara will be on the 9th row of the grid. And Eric Genet ahead of Pablo Sarrazin, while Noah Stromstead, a difficult qualifying, he starts 25th ahead of Hugh Yamakoshi, returned last time around. Theo Jensen is 23rd ahead of Flavio Oliveri, who's getting away from 24th. Federico Alrafai starts 25th ahead of the guest driver Gabriel Stilp. Juan Quota 27th, Alvis Rodea, and will be getting away from 28th. Max Restrepo 31st, Filippo Fiorentino, who was a guest driver, will be starting 32nd, and that is towards the rear end of the grid. Lorenzo Castillo and Isaac Braschi bringing up the rear of the order. And we see the field getting away from the grid now to start their dummy lap for the beginning of this race. As I mentioned, it's a warm day. Theophile Nael maybe a little bit disappointed to get a grid penalty, it would seem. But there's some harsh words for track limits this weekend, and drivers will be getting punished. Now, for Sainteloc Racing, we had Sebastian Murray last time out in Estoril. That was just a 1 round only event. He's not here this weekend. MP Motorsport, Geronimo Barrio, that run for the moment has concluded. He's been replaced by Reno Francort, the Dutch youngster. Of course, as mentioned, Hugh Yamakoshi returned for Fórmula de Campeones last time out at Estoril after missing round 4. At that stage, he was replaced by Dewey Richards. At Drivex Racing, there's no Georgi Zurawski this weekend. He has been replaced by Joao Diaz as a guest driver. GRS, Gabriel Stilp, the guest driver, he's actually an extra driver for GRS this weekend. Dani Maciá has returned for the team. He's standing in place for Carl Bennett, who is not here this time around. And CRAM Motorsport are running an extra driver as well for Filippo Fiorentino, the Brazilian youngster. He is a guest driver. All those guest drivers, none of them will be scoring points this weekend. As a lineup on the grid now, Christian Ho starting pole position. And his 4th of the season. And we're getting ready now as the final few cars coming around the last corner. 35 entries. It does mean that the drivers at the front of this field are waiting for quite a while. So you got Christian Ho in the white Campos entry, then on the far side of the screen the orange MP Motorsport machine of Valerio Rinicella. Matteo DePeo third, Grazia fourth. Grazia will be hoping for some big points this weekend. He doesn't often have this opportunity. The championship leader Theophile Nael going from fifth. And we're getting the green flag, and this will be good to go. Red lights are on, and the race begins. Sluggish start from Christian Ho. Valerio Rinocella trying to go for the move, but Ho edges Rinocella right to the edge of the circuit. And it may have just taken the edge off of Rinocella's run with someone else at the back of the circuit as well. Theophile Nael now into third place, going around the outside of Grazia into the turn one. And a big crash in the back, it looks like. One of the Montland Motorsport cars was going backwards with his front wing and rear wing gone, and someone else was off the track as well. But it's Valerio Rinocella has forced his way past Christian Ho to take the lead. Theophile Nael is in fourth place. Grazia. Nael is in third place, Grazia in fourth place, and that is Enzo Deligny in fifth. And that is one of the Montland Motorsport entries. Can't tell which one it is. Unfortunately, the number has been ripped off the car by virtue of the rear wing being gone. But the safety car has been called. Quite naturally, cars beached in the gravel like that are never going to be allowed to race hard. In this instance, I'll tell you exactly who that was in a few moments. And I think possibly Pablo Sarrazin. But there were other drivers flying off into the gravel as well, and I do wonder if maybe, possibly, potentially, they have been able to escape and kept going. And Sarrazin's beach, basically, by virtue of the fact his car was brutally assaulted. Max Restrepo is struggling somewhere, falling down the order, and I wonder if he was another driver involved, because it looks as if he may have some damage. Either way, safety car has been called. We got half a lap. Good enough for a battle at the front, a change of leader. Valerio Rinocella is at the head of this race, ahead of Christian Ho. Theophile Nael in third place, went around the outside of Riccardo Grazia on turn one, having already got past Matteo DePeo, who looks like he's had an awful start. DePeo down into seventh place, Deligny fifth, Cardenas sixth, Alex Ninovich running in eighth place, and have we had another crash in his safety car? That's Filippo Fiorentino. He's had an awful lot of damage in the back end of his car. There's another driver out just at the top of the screen who's got significant damage on the right front. What on earth? Well, I have absolutely no idea. The safety car has been given an order. Next time around, they will come through the pit lane. So we've had an accident on the start-finish straight. Goodness gracious me. Well, we do like to provide you with some action. Riccardo Grazia, fourth place, is wondering what all the fuss is about. Possible the other car involved in the start-finish straight incident was possibly Isaac Rashi. We'll confirm that in a moment. But, yeah. That is quite absurd. Hopefully we'll get a replay in a few moments' time. And I can confirm that is Pablo Sarrazin, because I can now see the number 12 at the front of the car. I can also confirm it by the fact he's beached at the bottom of the timing screens. Fiorentino. So we've had someone stalled. So did it happen there? I don't think there's some pretty daring driving, it must be said, coming down that start-finish straight. So we had incident there. That's with Sarrazin. We'll get a better view of it on the other side, replay from another angle. It's a lovely view of the pit lane. And this is a replay, I think, of the incident on the start-finish straight. Hopefully we'll get it in a moment. So the field slows down significant. Oy, ay, 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 ay. That's not what you do. That's not what you do at all. Well, Fiorentino, maybe a gas driver and running down the rear of the field, but he is absolutely within his right to be absolutely furious with that. I'm pretty certain it is Brashi's, the GRS car. How Joao Diaz is also pitted, by the way. Crazy. Anyway, hard to know what to say about that. It did look as if the field was slowing down significantly, but surely Braschi would have had more than enough warning that the field was slowing down. I mean, that's not a small hit. That was a big hit. He went into the back of Fiorentino with quite a bit of force. Six minutes of this race have taken place so far. We've had half a lap of action and quite a bit of action underneath the safety car. Rinocella leads. Now, for those of you at home watching on your screens and watching the kind of pit lap monitors, just guess all the cars, everyone's coming through the pit lane, and again, I think they may still have to come through the pit lane this time around. So if it looks as if they're notching up pit stops, well, they kind of are, but realistically, all they're doing is hitting the timing monitor through the pit lane. As we see Fiorentino's car being winched away. So possibly they may go down the start-finish straight this time around. It all, of course, depends whether there's any excess debris on the start-finish straight itself. So the safety car will be going down the start-finish straight this time round. There's been enough clearance from the Fiorentino-Braschi incident that there will be no need to go through the pit lane again. Certainly bizarre, and certainly I think the GRS team manager is going to be called to the race stewards pretty quickly. That seems very much like a case of the driver taking their eyes off the ball or the road. Rinocella, as mentioned, third in the standings. So you know he's down at fourth in the standings. He was third in the standings when we left to ref. Dropped down to fourth thanks to Christian Ho's trio of podiums at Estoril. Rinocella has won once this season already. And with Deligny down in fifth place, Deligny second in the championship, he'll be hoping to jump both Ho and possibly catch Deligny. He may actually even... No, he won't overtake Deligny. Actually, he'll be probably a couple of points behind, but that's if it stays as it is. For those of you who are wondering what happened, we've had two incidents. On the opening lap of the race, Pablo Sarrazin got thwacked from behind, it would seem, on the opening corner. Spun backwards, rear wing, flying in the air. Some damage, and he's beached. Safety car came out, and then under the safety car conditions, would seem Isaac Baracci ran into the back of Filippo Fiorentino on the start-finish straight under safety car conditions. And that has extended the safety car period. But what is ending the safety car period is the race director now, and we're about to go green in a few moments' time. And Valerio Rinicella gets his foot down and accelerates from Christian Ho. Some tyre smoke from the third, fourth position drivers. Rinicella leads. Christian Ho and then Theophile Nael. Then there is a fight over, I do believe that is Ninovic and De Peo fighting over 7th and 8th positions. Deligny going off the circuit as he chases down Grazia in 4th position. Ninovic not quite getting ahead of De Peo, but he's going to try again in turn 2. Rinicella has a half a second lead. Ahead of Christian Ho and Theophile Nael. And Riccardo Grazia doing very well in 4th position. He's not been up this high before in previous races playing, so Deligny is looking to take that away from him, as is Andres Cardenas. In 6th position. Riccardo Grazia concentrating very much on those behind. It's allowing the top 3 to get away. This would be by far his best finish if he can stay there. Going wide, hitting the curb is very, very hard. You do not want to do that too often. You see Rinicella completing another lap. There was one driver who's had a it must be said, has had a pretty dreadful start. Was Pedro Claro. He's actually fallen halfway down the order. He's now down in 27. He started in the upper mid-pack. So something must have gone wrong for him. He's gone flying off the circuit. One driver gone flying off the circuit, as you can see in the background there. I do believe that was De Peo again, as he's under pressure from Ninovic in the Road and Cars entry. Ninovic keeps pulling to the inside prior to turn 2 to maybe distract or find a gap, find a way past De Peo, but it's not quite working out for him. Given the nature of that left-hander, it probably actually causes him to drop further back as the couple of corners kind of unwheeled. Now here's Grazia in the red machine, the number 33, ahead of Enzo Deligny, the Red Bull-backed driver. Cardenas is in 6th position. Then you got De Peo. Then you got Ninovic. And then a second behind them, you've got Alexander Alzacava doing a good job so far this weekend, while Keanu Alazzari rounds out the top 10. He's fighting with Daniel Maciá and Noah Lyle to take that final points position. And Maciá has actually gotten past Alazzari. I think must have had enough and rejoined, because he's actually just lost 3 positions. He's dropped down from 10th to 13th place. Not that that matters to Grazia. Rinicella comes round to complete another lap. Grazia of the Monlau Motorsport entry. And someone often slow. It is the number 13. That is Joao Diaz. A puncture, looks like. I'm not entirely sure. Either puncture? Yeah, it is. I think it's a puncture, slow puncture. But definitely running at off the boiler speed. Rinicella leading from Christian Ho. Just behind, you got Theophile Nael. He's not really challenging at this point, but he probably also feels he doesn't need to push so hard to run that risk. He's leading the championship by quite a margin, The driver who's second place in the standings is a couple of positions behind him, although in saying that, Rinnicella and Ho are third and fourth in points, but they're not really challenging Deligny, and to be frankly honest, they need to do a significant amount of damage to Nael's championship standings this weekend if they want to take it to the final round of Barcelona in 1 month. But right now, Nael in third place looks relatively comfortable as Christian Ho looks to try and challenge Rinnicella, but he's not getting close enough. It's 4/10 of a second, but that might as well be 1 mile at this point as Rinnicella goes very wide. Theophile Nael has taken the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 33.502. It's 7/10 of a second off his fastest lap in qualifying, so not a bad effort actually. And we see Grazia, then Deligny. This Carreras on screen now, the number 18 Campos machine. Just behind him is Matteo De Peu, who's desperately fighting off Alex Ninovic, while Absakava is in 9th place. Then there's a 1 second gap to Daniel Maciá. Maciá ahead of Noah Lyle in 9th, while Kiana Alazzari is up to 12th, having retaken Lynn Hodinez over 13th a few moments ago. Reno Francort, by the way, is running 14th place, the MP Motorsport entry. He is in for Geronimo Berrio this weekend, so very good effort, solid effort by him in his first racing round in Formula 4, or Spanish Formula 4 at least. Fernando Barrichello is running 15th ahead of Jessica Carrasquara Jr., while Hugh Yamakoshi is 17th ahead of the Sainteloc Racing machine of Theo Jensen. Then we see Maciá on screen now. Not a new entry. If you're familiar with Spanish Formula 4, Maciá actually raced in this category a couple of seasons ago, 2021. He's been doing a lot of karting this year and really hasn't been in a position to progress beyond this kind of Formula 4 stage. But this is the top three, and it is very, very, very close still between Rinnicella, Ho and Theophile Nael. 4/10 of a second splitting the top three. But Ho does look a little bit more threatening this time around. There's still 13 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. Rinnicella very much driving within himself, keeping the tempo, keeping the flow. Really ensuring that Ho is not getting enough of a run to make his way past and into the lead. Now I can tell you that there was the incident we saw a few moments ago, Joao Diaz running very, very slow. Well, that's actually under investigation. There's been an incident between he and the number 69 machine, Maximo Restrepo. Joao Diaz is also under investigation for a collision with Pablo Sarrazin, which started the whole safety car kerfuffle on lap 1. And of course, on top of that, there is an additional investigation between Fiorentina and Baracci for crashing under the safety car at the end of the first lap. A general warning to all drivers this time around as Ninovic fighting off Absakava into turn 1. Oh, and here goes Maciá trying to look for a way past. Not going to work there. Absakava was doing so much to try and find a way past Ninovic that he dropped back slightly and opened the door a little bit for Dani Maciá. I was about to say there is a general warning for all drivers to respect track limits. And another driver under investigation at the moment is Noah Stromstead. He is running in 21st place at the moment. He's under investigation for the lap they ran through the pit lane at the beginning of the race under a safety car. He's under investigation for crossing the white line while exiting the pit lane. Stromstead really had a difficult race this weekend. Started at the back end of the top 20. He's not really progressed. Actually lost the position pretty much at the start. So difficult race weekend for him so far. What is not a difficult race weekend for Valerio Rinicello, coming on screen now. Completes the 11th lap. Leading from Christian Ho, Theophile Nael in 3rd place. But then there's a gap of 3 seconds to Riccardo Grazia, who is running 4th. His best race of the season so far by a country mile, it must be said. Grazia is holding off Enzo Deligny. Then he's got Andres Carteles, then Matteo De Peo, Alex Ninovic, Alexander Absakava, Daniel Maciá, Chiana Alazzari, all chasing right the way down to 11th place. Then a small gap with Noah Lyle in 12th and Lynn Houdini's 13th. Chiana Alazzari, meanwhile, has taken the fastest lap, and we have a driver off. It is Lorenzo Castillo, the guest driver for Tecnicar Fórmula de Campeones. He's beached very much in the gravel, and this is going to be a safety car. Absolutely no doubt this is going to be a safety car. The yellow flags are out. That's properly beached and close enough to the circuit. Sarrazin shaking his head, knows his race is over, and knows he's pretty much neutralized this race for a few moments at least. But safety car not been called yet. I can't believe for a second they won't, because that's going to require JCB to get out of the gravel trap. The race is still very much live, as Rinicello continues to lead from Christian Ho, and Theophile Nael in 3rd place. Riccardo Grazia still ahead of Deligny, still ahead of Carden, still ahead of De Peo, still ahead of Ninovic, still ahead of Absakava, still ahead of Maciá, and still ahead of Alazzari. And message from race control, car number 10, Lorenzo Castillo. The car will stay in the current position until the end of the race, so it looks as if they're not going to retrieve Castillo's car for the duration. Interesting. So we watch Rinicello and Christian Ho battling over the lead of this race. A 2 seconds time penalty has just come in for Griffin Peebles in 20th position. That's for track limits. I'm pretty certain we'll begin to see more of them. And that is turned into a 5 second time penalty for Griffin Peebles because he's gone and brings track limits once more. That'll drop him about 5-6 positions down the order. Such is the closeness of the field at this point. The drivers are following each other, and it's very, very, very close to the gaps of really only 4/10 of a second, 3/10 of a second, 5/10 of a second here or there. So if you lose 5 seconds, you're actually dropping quite a lot of positions. One driver who's certainly not dropping any positions at the moment is Riccardo Grazia in 4th place. The Monlau Motorsport machine. Still heading Enzo Deligny, but 6/10 of a second, so Grazia is not under any pressure whatsoever at this stage. The changes in the order. Yamakoshi has passed Fernando Barrichello. That is over 16th and 17th positions. And I do believe Pedro Claro is making some positions. He's up to 22nd now, having originally dropped down to 27th. Noah Stromstad has just got past Griffin Peebles to take 20th place. Grazia taking as much of the runoff area as he's allowed to get away with. As he heads away from the chasing Deligny, the Red Bull Junior driver who is currently second in the standings, some 61 points adrift of Theophile Nael. If it stays as it is, he will lose another 5 points to Nael. But I think realistically, this is a championship that is Nael's to lose at this point. Dell'Igny very much battling for P2 in this championship, ahead of Christian Ho and Valerio Rinocella, and with Ho and Rinocella ahead of him, effectively second and first in this race at the moment, that battle is going to be very, very, very close coming into tomorrow's race. Matteo De Peo. Dell'Igny is leading the rookie standings in this race, ahead of Cardenas, De Peo and Ninovic, with Absakava running 5th in that class. Kiana Alazzari is 6th in the rookie class, has the fastest lap for the rookies, but the fastest lap overall is by Christian Ho, and it's a 1:33.146. He went fastest again than everyone else last time around. So Dell'Igny, Ho is charging, but Rinocella is really only doing laps that are a few thousandths of a second slower than Christian Ho. So Ho is not really able to make any gap work. Rinocella is looking very confident, very calm. 9 tenths of second ahead of Ho, and looking as if he has this under control. I do think now Castillo, I believe, is actually on the inside of the exit of between turn 1 and turn 2. So it may well be considered a relatively safe position. It's away from the direction of traffic. Lots of time penalties now coming through. 2-second time penalties for Jessica Squadra, Kiana Alazzari, Dani Maciá, and Eric Genet, all track limits. 5-second time penalties for Alazzari's gap has been extended. He's got a 5-second time penalty, and it's also a 5-second time penalty for Noah Stromstead, all track limits. 2-second time penalties as well for Alexander Absakava and Pedro Claro. Also time penalties for 2 seconds now for Lynn Houdines. And Reno Francort. And Theo Jensen. Might be easier at the end of the race to tell you who doesn't have time penalties. It's just 2 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Rinocella has set the fastest lap of this race. As he leads away from Christian Ho and Theophile Nael. A little bit of confusion on the timing and scoring, showing Theophile Nael to have the fastest lap at a 1:33.2, but both Ho and Rinocella have gone faster than that with 1:33.1s, unless those times are getting withdrawn. Find out in a few moments. Time penalties for Houdines, Maciá and Carrasquada are now extended to 5 seconds for continued track limit breaches. We're going to give you an order at the end of this race, which may not in any way match the final confirmed finishing positions. Rinocella, meanwhile, is completely oblivious, and he's blown the old fast slap out of water anyway. So 1:33.089. He is still knocking him out of the park. 16 laps completed. This is lap 17, most likely the penultimate lap of this race. Seen Enzo Deligny getting challenged slightly by Andres Cardenas. Deligny falling far enough behind Grazia. Comfortably fourth, second, well, 1 second gap ahead of Deligny. Grazia, meanwhile, his best finish this season has been 9th, which he's taken 4 times. He has had a 10th place finish as well. So he's got 7 points and stands 15th in the standing. So this will give him further 12, which will put him pretty much a clear 13th in the standing. So congratulations to him. And this is the final lap of the race. Valerio Rinocella leading with consummate ease. Took the lead from Christian Ho on the opening lap, went right around the outside of the poleman Christian Ho, and really hasn't looked back since. Further time penalties for Petro Claro. That's now a 5-second time penalty he has. Well, 2-second time penalties for Flavio Oliveri, Kai Darianani, Federico Alrafai, and Juan Cota. But it matters very, very little to the leading driver. MP Motorsport runner Valerio Rinocella, who comes out of the final corner, down in start-finish straight, takes the checkered flag, and wins his 2nd race of the season. And with Enzo Deligny in 5th place, this will bring Rinocella into 3rd in the standings, jumping Christian Ho. Rinocella from Ho, Theophile Nael rounding out the podium. Riccardo Grazia coming home 4th ahead of Enzo Deligny. Andres Cardenas, Matteo De Pau 7th, Alex Ninovic 8th, Alexander Absakava is 9th, while Dani Maciá rounded out the top 10. Kenna Alazzari came home 11th ahead of Noah Lyle. Reno Francort, in his first race in Spanish Formula 4, came home 13th, not bad. Len Hodinez came home 14th ahead of Jesse Carrasquara. Hiyu Yamakoshi 16th ahead of Fernando Barrichello 17th. Theo Jensen 18th. Noah Stromstead made it up to 19th. Petro Claro rounds out the top 20 ahead of Eric Genet 21st. Flavio Oliveri 22nd. Griffin Peebles dropped down to 23rd, having run 19th and 20th earlier on. Federico Arrufai, a quiet day, 24th. Alvis Rodea, 25th ahead of Luciano Morano. Juan Cota, 27th. Kai Darianani, 28th. Maximiliano Restrepo finishes 29th ahead of the guest driver Gabriel Stilp, 30th. And the non-finishers, Lorenzo Castillo was 31st, non-classified and beached in the gravel. Joao Diaz retired in the pit lane quite a long time ago. Filippo Fiorentino was crashed into the back of by Isaac Braschi behind the safety car, and Pablo Sarrazin was crashed from behind on the opening lap. And that brought out the initial safety car. And we can give you an idea. Now, Theophile Nael leads championship with 257 points, ahead of Deligny with 191. Rinocella is 190, having won the race and taken the fastest lap of Christian Ho. It drops down to 4th in the standings, 185. Very, very, very tight battle for runner-up in this championship. But Theophile Nael extends his lead to 66 points. Bit by bit, he's getting closer to this championship, but for now, For this moment, Valerio Rinicella cares not about that. He cares about winning the race. Climbs from the cockpit of his MP Motorsport machine with the steering wheel held high in the air. Thwacks his car with absolute delight. And he goes to celebrate with his mechanics. And that is Theophile Nael, the third place finisher, a championship leader. And mechanics and friends and family celebrating with Rinicella. We waited a long time for the young Italian to win a race. He was on the podium plenty of times this year and last year, and on several occasions was close to winning and then lost the win. And of course, actually did win the race on track at Spa at the beginning of the year, but then a track limits penalty cost him quite a lot in that instance. And it's congratulations as well. And that is the incident between Baracci, the green GRS entry, and the Fiorentino driver for CRAM Motorsport at under the safety car period at the beginning of the race. I have absolutely no idea how on earth you crash like that behind the safety car nowadays. It's far, far, far too much communication and knowledge to make that kind of mistake, but that's life. Drivers are young ones, they get to make these mistakes. But for Rinicella, he led pretty much almost a complete distance, apart from a few corners at the beginning. He was absolutely imperious. Riccardo Grazia in the Monza Motorsport entry, finishing fourth today. Brilliant effort by him. His best race in Spanish Formula 4 by a country mile to fend off Enzo Deligny and all those behind. And we shall get the podium in a few moments' time. Now, I did give you the finishing order a few moments ago, and I am aware that that order may change significantly when we get the final results, such as the sheer amount of time penalties that were added to the race. And we have
Valerio,
an interview now with the race winner.
You have been very fast
Rinicella.
at the start, and you have been able to maintain the position.
Yeah, I'm very happy for the win. I wait this moment from after Navarra, and I want to dedicate this race to Dilano for what happened in Spa and to his family. So I'm very happy. I was flying on the track with the car. The car was perfect. We worked very well with the engine, with the engineer, and with the setup. So I'm very happy.
What do you expect for tomorrow?
We expect to win again because I'm pole, and let's see for quali 2.
¿Nos dices algo en español?
¡Hostia!
Well, there we have it. Rinicella is pole position for race 2 tomorrow. And he'll be hoping to take another race victory and possibly jump Deligny for second in the standings. As you see, the mural of Rossi, the MotoGP legend. My brain has gone completely black. Valentino! I can't believe I forgot that. I do remember Valentino Rossi in his early days as I think it was in 250s or 500s when he was known as the Doctor, and he'd win races, then put on a cape and do his victory lap with a cape on. But that's a completely different story. That tells you how old I am. As we wait now for the podium. We won't see the rookie podium today. We will be cutting off from this broadcast to go straight to Eurocup 3 as I see a repeat of the crash behind the safety car between Baracci and Fiorentino. And Valerio Rinicella, who had started second, Christian Ho was on pole. Renocella went around the outside of Ho on the opening lap, allowing him to take the lead before the race was neutralized, following Pablo Sarrazan's crash and eventual off. Renocella led the distance once the race restarted. It was a long first safety car. It was a big battle between Alex Ninovic and Matteo De Peo that eventually was won by De Peo. And as Renocella rounded out the laps and kept the gap to Ho and to Nael, and solidified his second win of the season. Well, we are going to head off quite early. We see the applause from people behind. We're not seeing the podium, but we will be back tomorrow for race 2. Until then, 11:30 on the continent. My name is Leo Gorman. Goodbye, and thank you very much.